Hello, I am D-Man, and today we'll be ranking the Total Drama Pahkitew Island cast. I've already done Revenge of the Island and the OG cast, so watch those videos first if you haven't already. Um, Now, what do I think of Pahkitew Island as a whole? I mean, it's Pahkitew Island. It's an okay season with a okay cast of characters. It's probably the weakest cast, but you know what? Just because it's the weakest cast doesn't mean it's, complete doo-doo. There's some good characters in here, and some less good ones. That's gonna be, yeah. Let's see which ones are the good ones. Starting off here with Beardo, who is, it's Beardo. I really don't have an opinion on this guy. He's sound effects. He's in one episode. Not mildly amusing at some points, mildly annoying at other points. Just a character that exists to get booted off. I really got nothing to say on this guy, unfortunately. Leonard, I actually do have a little bit to say. I guess I'll actually talk about his redonkulous race appearance first. It's kind of nothing. I slightly dislike that, to be honest. It's just what a waste of us. If you're gonna do any Pahkitew Island character, almost any of them would be more interesting than Leonard. But it is what it is, I suppose. Now what do I think of Leonard and Pahkitew Island? The best part about Leonard isn't even Leonard himself, but more the way the other people around him react to him. So like with Sugar, it's kind of funny seeing Sugar being like enamored a little bit, and Ella sort of going along with it, and then you have like Sky, who's Sky sort of knows that Leonard's a bit weird, but just sort of goes along with it anyways. That's what the team's going for. And then you have like Dave, who's just like, what the fuck is this? What is this maniac? This delusional wizard guy. And Leonard is delusional. I just don't think Leonard's that compelling. He's not that interesting. What is there to explore with Leonard? Not much, right? Even Beardo is more interesting because, at least because he's such a blank slate, you can't, like, I wouldn't mind knowing a little bit more about what Beardo's like. Why does he make sound effects? Why is he so good at making sound effects? Leonard, he's just, I don't, he's just okay. Like, and when I mean okay, I mean probably top of this. Like, I don't hate this guy or anything, but just like, just not. I don't. It's Leonard. I don't know what else to say, really. Next up, we've got Sugar. I consider Sugar to be the main antagonist of the season. Maybe some people would argue maybe it's Scarlet, or maybe it's Amy, or maybe it's Dave, or maybe it's Chris himself, because holy shit, Chris is a absolute psychopath in this season, more so than usual. But Sugar, I think Sugar's the main antagonist, lasted almost all the way to the finale. And as a villain, I think it kind of works actually a little bit. She's able to manipulate people, even though Sugar isn't that bright of a, she's not very smart, but she is able to manipulate people in a believable way. It's actually kind of crazy. I don't really see Sugar, like, what plot armor does Sugar have? There's not that much, really. I mean, maybe with the Ella stuff. I don't like Sugar when it comes to Ella and that. Like, I mean, I guess I get it, but that's just, yeah, that doesn't help Sugar's case. But other than that, I mean, I think Sugar's all okay. Her comedy is hit or miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I actually like Sugar's like strategy. When Sugar's actually starts being a villain, it's like, huh, this kind of works actually. Especially when it comes to like Dave and Sky and that, it's like, yeah, Sugar's actually, and it's believable, even because they don't like Sugar. Like, there's a bit where I remember Shawn's like, I don't trust Sugar at all, but it still makes sense why people would want to work with Sugar because, you know, especially with like Sky. Like, Sky only works with Sugar because otherwise she alone has to deal with the Jasmine Shawn combo, and that is, you can't beat that on your own. So, but Sugar as a whole, I mean, she's fine as a character. Like, I don't dislike Sugar. I don't like Sugar, but she's okay. Ella. One note. I wish I wish there was just the tiniest bit of edge to Ella, because Ella currently is just a very nice person. Um, Definitely like a bit of a gets pushed around a lot. The season is really cool, the particular characters, and Ella is one of those characters that is particularly dunked on for I don't know what reason, man. It's like this show hates Ella. Probably the most interesting part with Ella is the whole Dave thing. I mean, at least with that, we do get to see a different side to Ella, which is kind of nice. Although, I just wish there was a moment where Ella either stood up for herself or something like that. Um, and of course, I mean, Ella is fairly. I mean, this is Disney princess wannabe. You know, she's all right. All right, Dave. Oh, well, I mean, I like this guy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think he's probably one of the most interesting characters in the season. I don't think Dave's that good of a person, but I think what I like about him is how it does start off with Dave being what it looks like Dave's like the only normal guy on his team, and then as the season goes on, you start to realize, no, wait a minute, Dave's kind of a Dave's kind of a weirdo himself. Of course, the biggest thing is the whole Dave and Sky stuff. I mean, it is certainly a thing. Um, I think I think Dave's funny. Actually, I think Dave's pretty funny. Um, I do actually really like the episode when Sky does reject Dave, and Dave just kind of loses it. I think really the only like bad episode with Dave is the finale. I don't really like that they leave him on the island. I just don't. I don't like it with Chris showing the Sky tape, and then like it makes sense for Dave to do that at that point, but it's just like this isn't fun. It's a little depressing. So I mean, I like Dave. I do like him, but yeah, it's the finale's not great. I'll just say that. And I get probably episode 8 too. He's probably just okay there. Sky, one of the winners of this season. Hmm. I mean, I like Sky. I mean, she's fine. She's somewhat compelling. A little on the boring side, but there's just enough going on where I'm like, okay, there's something here, you know. Sky wanting to do the competition as like that's their first priority, which that makes sense, but you know, that's Sky's first priority. I think if I was to make Sky more interesting, I definitely would have brought up the key thing earlier, right? I mean, I wish there was if there was a confessional way back where Sky goes, oh, I like Dave, but I've already got this boyfriend. If we heard about it earlier, I think it would have been more interesting. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, Sky's pretty cool. But is she as cool as Shawn? Nah, I don't think so. Shawn, I do like Shawn. I'm probably gonna put him at the top of the list so far. I don't love Shawn, but I like that at first when you look at him, he just seems like another weirdo, like Beardo or Leonard. You're like, this dude is preparing for the zombie apocalypse. But then as the season goes on, you start to realize, there's actually quite a bit to Shawn. There's paranoia and stuff, and he actually has like character growth. I know, that's crazy. Character growth, multiple layers in a character. I've never heard of that before. But yeah, Shawn actually goes through some development, and by the end, he's not, he's still a bit of a paranoid sort of guy, but he's not as much. It still feels like Shawn, but a sort of a renewed Shawn. And of course, Jasmine really helped in that department. I like how Shawn has changed for Jasmine, but not so much where it's like a different person or anything. Um, and I think his dynamic with Dave is cool. You wouldn't think those two would get along. Dave, germaphobe, Shawn, not afraid to get, dirty and whatnot. Like literal, don't look at me like that. Anyways, but they get along. And I do prefer Shawn as a winner over Sky. Um, the only reason why I might prefer Sky as a winner is just Shawn kind of gets a good ending regardless, right? He's gonna get with Jasmine either way. It's just so the only reason why you might prefer why I might prefer a Sky ending is because Sky also gets something good too, right? It's just Dave that loses. But I still kind of prefer Shawn winning the money. It just feels better to me. And Jasmine's up next. Well, I gotta like her at least a little bit. She is Australian. I have to, hell yeah. Um, oh, I'm gonna put it here actually. I mean, she's pretty cool. I definitely like her relationship with Shawn. I like that Jasmine eventually is just like, you know what? Maybe I just have a. Shawn might be strange, but you know what? God damn it, I still like that dude. Um, the only maybe part of Jasmine that isn't as great is obviously when Jasmine doesn't like Shawn. She's quite harsh, and that conflict probably goes on a little bit too long, right? I mean, it even starts to impact Sky and Dave because in episode 8, when Sky switches teams, Jasmine's basically like focus on the competition, ignore Dave. You see what Shawn did to me, and it's like it kind of works. Like I get why Jasmine's like that, but it just feels like she's angry for just a little too long. Um, but of course, I mean, Shawn ends up winning her over again, and it's pretty much good from there. I, Jasmine being upset in the finale is completely fine to me. Like Shawn did just straight up like Shawn basically just straight up lied to Jasmine there, so like totally makes sense why Jasmine's angry. And even then, she's just like, I don't want them to win. I don't want them to get hurt, which that's good. Um, Otherwise, I mean, she's definitely a good team leader. I do like her friendship with Sammy. That's obviously nice. I wish they did more with that, but for what's there, it's pretty cool to have Jasmine actually help someone out. She's cool. I just don't like her as much as Shawn and Dave. Next we got the twins. Starting with Sammy. She's good, but she's not in it very long. Like I, I definitely should have done more with this twin thing. Ooh, let's put a. I'm a little biased towards Sammy, but does that feel right to me? Probably. That's just a lot. I wish I could put Sammy higher. In fact, Sammy was up there on my list at some point, but there's just not enough for Sammy to do in the 5 episodes. She does some cool stuff. I love when she tricks Amy with the fruit. I like her sort of slowly opening up and stuff. I also like when there's a few moments where Sammy's, there's like enough of an edge, which is sort of what I said with Ella doesn't have anything, right? She's just perfectly nice. Sammy's similar. She's quite nice, timid. But there's a few moments where it's like, you know what? This girl is capable of some ruthlessness, and I kind of like that, You know, you could sort of in those moments you could sort of see, oh, that's, Sammy and Amy are twins, and that sort of that moment there, sort of those moments sort of make me go, yeah, I can see it. And then Amy returns, and then, yeah, I mean, I think Sammy's just, I think, very solid. Has a few funny moments. But yeah, I just wish they did more with these twins. I don't know if about like full-blown Sammy should have won and like Amy be the main villain, but just I would have pushed him I would have pushed both characters a few episodes ahead. Maybe eliminate Amy in episode 5 and then eliminate Sammy in episode 7. I think people would have liked that more, even if people don't like Amy. Because Amy is not a very nice person. Speaking of Amy, I don't hate Amy. Amy is very, very cruel. And if my biggest issue with Amy isn't actually her cruelness, but she's just very one note. She's just not very compelling. She's evil for some reason we do not know. Obviously, Amy has the potential to be interesting, because like there has to be a reason why Amy's doing this, right? To Sammy, right? We never get a reason. We never get to see any sort of humanity, right? You know when I said I appreciate the moments where Sammy has a little bit of that ruthlessness? I wish there was a moment with Amy where there was a little bit of vulnerability, sort of. But they don't give Amy any sort of moment like that. Which I get why, because Amy is sort of meant to be someone you're not meant to like, but yeah, that feels about right to me. Do I bring Beardo down to dislike just because he's so nothing? Maybe. I need more than a dislike. I will do that. Rodney, alright, Rodney. Nah, this ain't it. I mean, I don't hate Rodney, but like, this dude ain't great. I don't like this guy. 4 episodes, barely does anything. His gimmick is mildly humorous, but overall, it's just like, get this guy out of here, kind of thing. I mean, part of the problem is like, does Rodney go through like an arc at all? No, not really. This is probably what they should have done, right? Because there's an idea for a character here, this like hopeless romantic type. You could do something with that, and I don't really think the show's had like a helpless romantic character before, unless I'm just completely blanking out. But Rodney doesn't do anything with that. Like, it's just Rodney's there for the jokes, right? That's what Rodney's for. And a few of the jokes, it's amusing how ridiculous it is, but that doesn't make a great character, unfortunately. Next we've got Topher. He's fine. I don't know. I do, I like the idea of a character wanting to take over the show. This like ultra fanboy of Chris, sort of like Sierra a little bit, but this is a different take. because Toph actually wants to take over the show and isn't really in it for the game so much, right? I mean, he mostly just cruises along until he finds the right opportunity to try and take over the show as the host and whatnot. Um, and that's fine. I think that's a perfectly fine thing. It's just, what does Topher do with all the other characters here? Um, Jasmine and Topher in the caves in episode 7. Scarlet gets like mad at him in episode 8. Um, that's about it. Topher really doesn't really interact with anyone other than Chris himself, which, I mean, that makes sense. Topher is a Chris fan, and his whole plot revolves around Chris, but, you know, I think they could have done more with the idea, I suppose. And final two characters, we got Max, the evil genius, that he's also just he ain't, well, he's not dumb. He is smart, but he's just really, he's very odd. But for some reason, I like Max. He's like, he actually is kind of funny. Even though he's in it for 10 episodes, it's crazy how many episodes Max is in, and kind of works, actually. Partially because of the dynamic with Max and Scarlet. It's quite entertaining to have Scarlet be like the straight man, slowly just getting more and more pissed at Max's just idiocy. So that's actually quite a good, that's quite a humorous duo right there. And Max is just has quite a lot of interactions with a lot of the cast, and he's just entertaining. He is not very compelling. He doesn't have much depth, although I suppose he's got a little bit of depth because he's like a really good babysitter and whatnot, and so he's got this like attachment here with like children, and it's like Max wants to be evil, but he really isn't that bad of a guy. Like, I don't know what, like, I guess I don't know why he wants to be evil, but like, you know, I guess that's just what he's into, I guess. I actually do like Max enough to put him in low like. I'm not going crazy over Max, but you know what? I like you. I like you, dude. And finally we've got Scarlet. So the first 9 episodes, she's mostly okay. First few episodes, she's kind of just there. Then you actually start having Scarlet and Max interact. You start seeing this sort of devious side of Scarlet, and you go, okay, Scarlet might be more interesting than I thought. And then you keep going, and Scarlet does get more interesting as the season goes by. And then you get Scarlet Fever, which is episode 10, and this is where, I mean, this is the best episode in the season, in my opinion. I don't know if this is the best episode for Scarlet's character. I mean, in this episode, the whole island's gonna blow up. Scarlet basically reveals herself as I was a supervillain the whole time, basically, which, I mean, it's funny to see Max just absolutely just shit himself over this, to see someone who's actually evil and is willing to Scarlet is willing to let people die for some money, which, yeah, that's pretty wild, I'd say. Of course, this big reveal does completely ruin the character we've seen beforehand. But it's entertaining to watch Scarlet in episode 10, but it does just completely alter her character, and part of me kind of prefers when Scarlet was just like, she's really smart and just like a more quiet evil rather than this bombastic ha 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 ha, I am evil. I liked the quiet manipulation that Scarlet was doing beforehand. Overall, I'm probably gonna go neutral. Yeah, that feels about right to me. I would go high neutral. Um, 'Cause you could do more with Scarlet, I guess, but you sort of have to figure out that whole, do you make her the, you know, it's kind of tricky with Scarlet. Anyways, that is my Pahkitew Island ranking. It's all kind of squished in this like neutral dislike thing. Like there's none of the characters here I love. There's none I hate. There's not really any. I'll be honest, this whole show, I don't know if there's a single character I hate or despise in this whole show. There's no character that I think's the worst. Maybe the Redonkus race will have a character I actually hate. Who knows? I guess you'll have to find out next time when I do the Redonkulous race.